And it is a day to celebrate lovely ladies around the world and in our own little backyard. And I'm excited about today in many ways because I'm going to take a spin-off, a one-off from our series. I won't be in Ecclesiastes today. And before I get started in this message, I want to make sure you pick up summer schedule. They're on the table there, or if you're at home, I think they're on the webpage. And you could pick this up. And the first one coming up, we're also going to have an informational meeting about bulletproofing your marriage. And I really encourage you to invite, something should be going out this week. I encourage you to invite any people who are married who never had the disciplines, the skills taught to them of what does a healthy marriage look like? What's it take to have a healthy marriage? And bulletproof marriage is really that. It's really shown to be 90% effective, if not more, in maintaining healthy relationships that last a lifetime, which is exciting. Sometimes marriages last a lifetime, but they're not healthy. So it's good if you had both. So today, another thing I'm excited about today is the opportunity to do this message. This message is really about the condition in our world right now with regard to how we view and honor people. And so I'm calling it Restoring Honor and Respect. Although this is written to be addressing women, it is also, you could flip it, and it's for men. It's the biblical principles of why we believe in respect and honor, and why a woman should be honored and respected. So I brought some flowers here. My daughter had Teacher Appreciation Week this week. Hopefully you were able to appreciate it if you have a teacher. And she got a bunch of flowers, so I borrowed a couple for today. And when I thought about this restoring honor and respect, I just wanted to share with you a couple things on my heart. First of all, respect is the idea that you consider something worthy of a high regard. And to the point, there are so many things broken that you wonder, why should I regard that highly? And I look at our world and our culture, and we're really about tearing things down, not building them up. We're really more about sort of disrespecting, destroying places of honor. And then we're also misguided by it. There was a study last September by Forbes. It was put out, the study itself was done through the University of Missouri and Kansas, respectively. And it said this: as a baby boomer, this is the writer, as a baby boomer, I can speak to the days when you respected your elders just because they were your elders. You didn't need any other reason beyond the simple fact to pay initial respect. It was just the way we were taught to approach intergenerational exchanges. Today, things work very differently. Younger gen individuals, millennials, Generation Z, they want to feel respected first before they will give respect. If they don't feel respected, they see no reason to show respect to the person in authority. But the reverse is also true. Preemptive respect is quickly repaid. So this applies in all areas of life: home, school, and work. The researchers found that full-time workers aged 21 to 34 prioritize respectful communication over having fun at work in any other trendy office perks or gimmicks. Other studies out there have been showing that 70% of the people in our culture feel as though respect's an issue in the culture, like it's not good, and that it's getting worse. And this study, what's interesting to me in this study is if you're, let's say, not young, you reflect on that first example, is the way you were taught kind of thing. And then if you're younger, you reflect on the other one. I think in generality, these are probably very two true statements. The problem is I don't agree with either one. I don't agree with either one. Neither generation represents Jesus. what's interesting is you notice in the first, and this is a study put out, and what's interesting is it's void of any God language. We intergenerationally approach respect and just respect people for the sake of they're our elders. Why? Why? You know? I sit there and I go, I have a problem with that because they're not showing causation. Where is it coming from? Where's your value system coming from? You see, what it shows me, that first generation, boomers and above, older, is that what they got was a residue of values without any substance of God. God was lost to them. And then the second generation, God's lost to them too. As though you have to do something to show me respect before I respect you. Neither of them show me that they understand the plan of God. And that bugs me as a pastor. How do we lose the plan? Let's talk about the plan. Today we celebrate women. Let's understand the plan God had. There's a beautiful verse in Genesis. It says, so God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. Is God a man or a woman? You see, God is bigger than the sexes. See? His son became Jesus, who was a man, but there's an intentionality there. God is bigger than the sexes. In fact, the way I like to tease people is I like to tell them, God is so big, it took two sexes to show you even part of him. He created us in whose image? His image. The incredible thing is most people don't realize they walk around bearing the image of God, nor do they believe it, nor do they substantively accept it, affirm it, or live by it, because if you were bearing the image of God, you would have more self-worth than you would ever be able to contain in this little body of yours. If you understood how much the image of God means to you. So understanding the plan is not just a little important, it's essential to a healthy life. In fact, ordering your life around God's plan teaches you the true value of life and the respect we should have for all humanity. All humanity. Even when they seem to be the ugliest creatures on the earth. Right? Why? The image is still there. Job puts it really cool in a verse. He says, dominion and awe belong to God. He establishes order in the heights of heaven. Somehow we began to disrespect things because we thought, oh, leadership is bad. A pastor's bad. A politician's bad. A teacher's bad. Somebody in leadership is bad. And we lose sight that God created the world with order, and he put dominion on it, and ultimately he controls all of them anyways. As much as they'd like to think they run anything, he controls it. And so he demands that we approach dominion and awe and establishes his sense of order into this universe. I love it. You know why? Because when I wake up tomorrow, the reason the sun rises and sets is because God's order, not man's. We will try to destroy what God has planned, and God will rise again. Because we can't. We will try to destroy the image of God within ourselves. We can't. So what was the purpose? What was the purpose of men and women from the very beginning? Notice one of the key phrases there. He said, God blessed them. He said to them, be fruitful and increase in number. God's obviously not a very big population control guy, right? He saw humanity and what he created as beautiful. Fill the earth and subdue it. He certainly put us in a place above so many other things for a reason. Take care of this planet. Rule over the fish of the sea and the birds in the sky and over every living creature that moves on the ground. Rule over it. Take your place. This is where I put you. You're the gardeners, the caretakers. By the way, have you ever tried to rule over fish? You know what's really cool? Lately, they've started to do what's called ranching, or what do they call it? Underwater ranching, and they're harvesting fish within controlled environments underwater. And I thought, man, only we could do that. I've never met a dog that could do it, or a cat. This whole idea of we can rule over and do things effectively and helpful for all humanity, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And so one of the reasons and purposes that we're here is to be fruitful, is to subdue, is to rule over and take care of things, not destroy things. So years ago when I was younger, they had, you need to recycle, came out when I was younger, okay? And we're in a very environmentally safe culture right now, which I like that. I actually like we're thinking of the environment. That was the original plan, right? Gardening, take care of it. But when recycling first came out, I thought, okay, this is a little inconvenient, right? Because I had never known it. Now it's just second nature to throw something in a recycle bin. Back then it wasn't. It was trash bin, everything in the trash bin. So you had to learn a new habit. And that was a good thing. And I thought, yeah, that's awesome. And then they said, we need to save the trees. And I thought, can't we plant trees? And so there was big conversations about trees and paper and such. And you don't hear that conversation the way it was back then today. And the reason is because, this thing I'm holding in my hand, got rid of so much paper. Who uses paper anymore? Good night. You know what I'm saying? It's like when I see somebody reading a book, it's usually nostalgic that they have it in hard copy. It's like there's so much, we got rid of so much paper, they no longer make the argument. That used to be the big push. There's always some sort of big push now towards something to save something. And California, it's always been water. So if you feel guilty about water this year, don't worry, it'll come around next year. It's been there 30 years ago, and I don't know what the deal is. But I will tell you this, every year they'll make you feel guilty for even using a drop of it. I just thank God he gave it to us. The other thing, too, is in the New Testament, Jesus, with salvation, brings in this new element to the purpose of God. And in 2 Corinthians, to make it brief, he says, God has committed to us who follow Jesus the message of reconciliation. It's the presumption that there are relationships broken, there are things broken in this world, and we as followers of Jesus are here to reconcile them, bring them back to restoration, usable, once again usable of God. This includes our image. This includes every woman on the planet, every man on the planet. That's really our job, to reconcile all things to him. Which means what? Which means all the boomers and Gen Xers and Zs and all this stuff, they're all wrong if they do it outside of God's grace. Because they give no credit to whom they bore the image, nor do they know the plan he has for it. There's a plan. So, here's the truth. A friend of mine once told me a long time ago, and you've heard this probably before, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. I find most people just don't know. Never read the Bible, don't know the Bible, or I read it, didn't know that was in there. Or I read it 20 times, didn't know that's what it meant. You don't know what you don't know. We assume way too much. That just because somebody reads a book, they actually believe it. So, discover. Discovery is a beautiful thing he created for all humanity. Discover what you should know to love others and honor and respect. With honor and respect. Discover it. You're not born with it. You're not born with it. You didn't stumble on it. It's intentional. Do you seek to love others? Then discover what you should know to love others with honor and respect. The Bible itself says you should show proper respect to everyone. Ouch. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know what that person did to me. You should show proper respect to everyone. In 1 Timothy, it gets a little more directional with it, and it says, treat younger men as brothers, older women as mothers, younger women as sisters, and with absolute purity. That's pretty cool. It's almost like we're one big, what? Family. Yes. Except hopefully we're a functional one. The functional family. With absolute purity. Our pursuit of sexual freedom has destroyed so much in our culture. Ephesians 5:3 puts it this way, but among you there must not even be a hint of what? Sexual immorality, any kind of impurity, greed, because these are improper for God's holy people. These are not right for us to do. Every time a church gets caught in some sort of greed scandal, I sit there and I go, this is improper, this is so wrong. Every time I have to counsel some young lady who's been sexually abused, I sit there and I go, this is wrong. Ladies, my heart is poured out to you, knowing that 8 in 10 women typically have been abused in some way, verbally, sexually, or otherwise. And it is a great pain to me that we took this beautiful image that God created and we cheapened it. It's wrong. Do you honor and respect each other? I even meet women, maybe you're one of them, and if you're a woman, you'll probably laugh at it, but there are a lot of women who hate women. I mean, think about it. Yeah, I got to know women. I don't like them. I'm a woman. I'm like, I'm not even sure how that works. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about treating women with respect, honor, and love, deserving of the image they're created in. No matter how much they've abused it, destroyed it, disregarded it, ignored God in their life, whatever, they have this image they were given. And let's talk about what respect, honor, and love would look like in that situation. And the point I'd like to make first is that I long to accomplish, it's Helen Keller. By the way, if you've never studied Helen Keller, brilliant woman. Saw God in a beautiful way. She says this, I long to accomplish a great and noble task, but it's my chief duty to accomplish small tasks as if they were great and noble. It begins with the small things. You would think you want to change all culture. You're right. I mean, we should stop entertaining ourselves with people's divorces in courtrooms. Why? What kind of perverse entertainment do we have going? Destroying. Entertainment where we see people's image of God being utterly ripped apart and destroyed, and we entertain ourselves on it? So here's a point I'd like to make to Helen Keller's point. She did it so well, those little things. Respect is learned and given. It is both learned and given. Never assume, oh, you should know how to respect. Oh, you should show more respect. What in the world does that even mean? What does that even mean to you? And the truth is, you'll say things like, oh, that means this. And it's like, well, how do you know? How do you know? Have you ever asked? So I'd like to give you an action step. I'm not going to leave you hanging. Here's the action step. Start asking people, how can I show you respect? Or what makes you feel respected? And then work on doing what they say. It's interesting in the Bible when it talks about men and women, it says husbands should respect their wives, and in another text it says wives should respect their husbands. And I get couples together all the time, and I say, have you ever asked your partner what makes you feel respected? And all the time, you know what they tell me? They give me this. No, not. How in the world do you know what makes me feel respected if you don't ask? Now, in general, you like a door to be opened for you. I'm always open to a free latte, But different people, it's very interesting. As I ask this question in life, and I go through life, and I say, what makes you feel respected? It's interesting what people value. Some people could care less about one thing and more about another, and some people find respect in one action versus another action. And so respectfulness really does have an opinion behind it of that individual. How can I show you respect? And in general, a nice compliment, those are always encouraging, those kind of things. But deep felt respect, what really makes you valued and respected? You see? That's why the millennials in that survey, they were saying, I would rather have a respectful conversation than fun and gimmicks at the workplace. I want to be treated with what? Respect. Well, then ask, what does that look like? Husbands and wives don't do it. Do you really think your kids do it? Do you really think they do it at work a lot? That kind of thing? You know, I think most people take a stab at it. Or they do a general survey and they don't get to the heart of it, the causation. God placed it in our hearts. Why? Because his image deserves, and dare I say, demands respect. There's no way as a follower of Jesus you're going to love your enemy, love those who hate you, build up those who curse you, if you haven't learned that buried in all of that is something worthy of what? Respect. If you really respect somebody, even though think of the worst person on the planet, or the person that you hate the most or struggle with most, if you really want to show the respect of God to that image, even in the most destroyed form, the first thing in your head should be, they need Jesus. And I need to bring it. Don't you blame them for the world's problems. We got a devil for a reason. Blame him. I don't care. He deceives a lot of people every day. But you love people. Man, that's hard, right? Some people make it really hard to love them. Right? But remember our statement. You don't have to like them. You got to love them. So first of all, have you ever asked anybody, how can I show you respect? I encourage you as a basic step, ask it. Discover what respect feels and looks like and means to someone. Next one I like to say is honor is given to women whether they're in or out of the room. I've always liked that one better as the view of honor because it's the basic step. Sort of like respect means I admire you, but honor is really, what do you say about them when they're not in the room? You know, everybody in our culture to some degree sounds good in person because they don't want to what? Hurt your feelings. But man, you get them in a room with their buddies and they start talking about you. That's where honor shows up. How do you talk about people when they're not in the room? I'd like to give you a practical action step. Again, practice building someone up when they're not in the room with you. Kids, get this one, kids. Tell somebody else your parents are great and really mean it. And if they're not, tell them that you love them. Tell them something honorable when they're not in the room. There's something there you can speak well of for them. Have you ever done that? Have you ever intentionally talked to people in your sphere of influence and said, this person is just a really good person. I really love their patience. I really love their kindness. I really love their generosity, whatever it is. Have you really practiced honor? If you cannot say something nice about somebody when they're not in the room, I highly doubt you truly understand the nature of honor. Because honor is deeper than respect in the sense of its innate need to admire and share that admiration of somebody. I really honor God. How do I honor God? I will talk about him, not just at church. So now it gets to the rubber meeting the road. Let's talk about this one. Love. Love is selfless and sacrificial. We know that as Christians. We do. And so the action step I'd like for you to do here is simply these last two things we talked about. Do something respectful based on what you've learned about love. And give someone honor because of your love for God. You see, we showed you what respect and honor can look like. I've given you examples of what you could do. And what I'm saying is if you actually did them, you would be doing love. Love is not just an ideal. It's not. Love is feet on the ground, loving people unconditionally. Love is expressed through respect, expressed through honor, expressed through how we treat one another. And I know for many of you, like myself, we never learned it when we were younger. We learned what the Forbes survey showed. Well, we should just respect our elders. Really? Is that as deep as your value system is? You know how many other ugly things are in our culture that you just don't want to just accept? If you truly care about justice, morality, values. This next one, though, is a little harder because, well, it's harder for me. This was my life journey. I didn't realize this. I was raised with 2 boys, so my poor mom, what a saint. Anyway, the last one I'd like to give you is practice consideration, especially guys. If I could speak out to the men in the room. Listen, you know, our resolution of a struggle is we just punch each other and say, hey, get over it, right? It doesn't really work that way. But practice consideration. You know, you go home to your wife and it's like, how's her day been? What's she been thinking? Ladies, if you just have friends, how are their days going? As a woman, how are you? And that's the action step. Ask how you are doing before sharing how you are doing. Did you catch that? Ask how you are doing before you share how you are doing. With Christ in you, everything you need to become a model of manhood or womanhood is there. You are an image bearer. I can never replace what God has given my wife. Neither can she me. You are an image bearer. Then let that image rise up to what it should be. Not more than, not less than, but what it should be. People will say, what does it mean to love others? Well, honestly, there's this beautiful little Greek word, alas, that connects a lot of the love illustrations in Scripture. So I gave you, on your tables, there's this long sheet. It's called the One Another's of Loving Others. Many of you have seen it. Some have not. I encourage you to grab one. This is a list of how we're supposed to treat one another in this room. As a church, this is how we treat one another. And you'll go through this list, and you'll go, oh, yeah, I'm pretty good. What? If you're an introvert, it says greet one another. Ouch. No, I think I'll just mark that off this one. So you came in today, and I hope you got a gift. This gift is for all women, married, single, young ladies. This is for you. Because today we want to celebrate womanhood. I can't imagine living on this planet without it. It is the completer of this world is womanhood. If you didn't get a gift, I encourage you, please grab one of these on the way out. If there are those left over, grab one for a woman in your life. Show someone honor today. And although this day is for you ladies in that sense, certainly many of you know other ladies who need it, who have been torn down by this world, abused by this world, ripped up. You see, the way I see respect and honor are the reason I brought these flowers is like these 2 beautiful flowers in the garden of God. You can't really grow in your faith and in your relationship with God without having these 2 beautiful flowers of respect and honor. Many of you, I know, struggle with respecting yourselves. You've made mistakes. You've done things you shouldn't. Your mothers have made mistakes. They've done things they shouldn't. But buried in that brokenness is the image of God. And you have a ministry to reconcile in some way, if at all possible. Sometimes I know it just seems beyond fathoming. That's fine. I get that. But we simply put forward the olive branch, the love. We will choose to honor what man destroys. We will choose to respect what people tear down every day in our social media feeds, in our news cycles, Every day I see it, it disgusts me because it disgusts God. We entertain ourselves on it. We build preconceived ideas behind it, as though these people aren't reconcilable. That is to say, you don't think they can be saved, but you don't know them. I don't need to know them. God does. And if God has told me it's savable, I believe it's savable. And I definitely know this. I do not want to go through life without love, honor, respect, and consideration of others. That one, too, is savable. We're so blessed. We're so blessed. And ladies, I would just encourage you, rise up. Rise up above and beyond anything. You got a godly mother like me? Be even better. Your mother would love it. If you don't even know your mom, then rise up to be like Jesus and find the most beautiful womanhood in your life. Never stop being beautiful. Never make excuses for this. Don't let the world tread on your sexuality or your relationships with other women. There's a reason sometimes women hate women, and I'm just saying, stop. We are brothers and sisters in this family. And we have been blessed to carry on the image and to bear the image of God. And may we do it with purity. That's hard, guys. It's hard. This world keeps wanting to just corrupt you. And I'm sitting there going, God, as a shepherd, as a pastor, you know what I pray for our church? Protect our people from a very perverse and corrupt world. Because I believe you should be honored and respected. And honestly, I wouldn't be here without you. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you. In this world, there's trouble, there's struggles, but in your economy, there's such beauty. And I can't even imagine this world without the completion of it through women. And I can't even imagine my life without the women in my life. And I thank you so much for the very blessing it is to bear your image, either male or female. The honor it is to really represent God, you on this planet to others, and your love for people. You care about us. You care about us deeper than we often care about ourselves. So I pray if there's any brokenness in this room, if there's any brokenness in femininity in this room, if there's any brokenness in a woman in this room, that you would begin a restoration and a reconciliation that is miraculous to behold. Because nothing is beyond reconciliation, but it happens through you. We struggle and fight to become something in this world when really all we need is you. So I pray every woman would deeply feel honored today, respected by this church, your church, by you, because you gave us that image. And may we rise up to encourage that image in one another. And Father, thank you for the very blessing of womanhood that you've given us. In your name, amen.